Good morning, and thank you for joining us for Week 11 of the 2023 Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference Weekly Football Coaches Video Conference. I am Patricia Porter Mayfield, Associate Commissioner for the MEAC, and I will serve as the moderator and host of today's interviews. Before we begin, I would like to go over today's procedures. The conference will begin with the MEAC notes featuring conference highlights, upcoming events, players of the week, and weekly accolades. Afterwards, we will ask each head coach questions about the previous week's matchups, the upcoming games, followed by questions from the media. To ask a question, simply click the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. At this time, the MEAC notes will be brought to you by Director of Strategic Communications, Elise Scripter. Go ahead, Elise.
Good morning, everyone. The Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference saw an exciting weekend of volleyball unfold. Coppin State headed into the weekend looking as favorites to take the regular season championship, but the Bison of Howard had other plans in mind. Coppin State won their Friday night match, improving to 11-0 in MEAC action. However, when they traveled to play in Byrd Gymnasium against the Bison of Howard, they fell in 5 competitive sets. With the loss, Howard inches closer to tying Coppin State for the portion of the regular season title. The Bison went 2-0 on the weekend with wins over Morgan State and Coppin State. The Hornets of Delaware State also went 2-0 on the weekend, defeating North Carolina Central in 5 sets and sweeping South Carolina State in 3. North Carolina Central, Maryland Eastern Shore, and Morgan State all went 1-1 on the weekend, while both Norfolk State and South Carolina State went 0-2. As we sit with 1 weekend left in volleyball action before the tournament, Coppin State is first, Howard is second, with Maryland Eastern Shore and Delaware State sitting tied at third. The Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference volleyball tournament is just over a week away, running November 17th to the 19th in Dover, Delaware. The Hornets of Delaware State repeat as the hosting institution for the tournament. The Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference announced the weekly bowling honors, with Emily Bregman from Delaware State named the Bowler of the Week, while the University of Alabama's Madison Colston was named the Rookie of the Week for the second time this season. And wrapping things up this weekend, we have several MEAC schools competing at the NCAA Regional Cross Country Championship meet. The NCAA Division I Southeast Regional will take place in Spartanburg, South Carolina at Millikan Research Park, hosted by USC Upstate this Saturday, November 10th. And that is the weekly notes.
Thanks, Elise. We will now start our weekly football video conference. We start this morning with Howard head coach Larry Scott. Good morning, Coach Scott.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
We're doing well, Coach. How about yourself?
Could be better, but hey, sun rose on Sunday. Sun rose this morning. Got another opportunity. We definitely made it interesting. So, hey, it's all, hard at it, ready to go.
Understandably. Well, let's get right to it. Last week, it was a tough matchup and a tough environment, and not necessarily the outcome, of course, you would have liked. Talk about that matchup against South Carolina State.
Yeah, everything you said. It was everything that we thought it would be. And in true, South Carolina State Buddy Pugh fashion, they did it the way that they would, the brand that he is, the brand that they play. They ran the football and the most yards that have ever been ran against us, since I've been here. So he did it the way that they wanted to do it. And the kind of the formula came together for them, the way to win the game, right? They needed to control the ball on the ground. They created big time X plays in the run game. They ran through us, around us, whatever they needed to do that way, and control the game with their run game. And then on defense, they played well enough to get us off the field in some critical third downs, in possession downs. When we did, have a short field, they held us to a field goal and won a critical drive right there, as opposed to being able to score and win the game. So kudos and hats off to them. It was a physical, tough game, but disappointed obviously in the loss, but in the big scheme of things, that couldn't have happened to a better coach, better person in that situation. So hats off to them, and they did a heck of a job.
Well, Coach, despite the loss, this team is still very much in control of its destiny for the conference title. Are there conversations with the players regarding the title run, or are you focused merely on each game and each opponent at this point of the season?
I mean, you'd be naive to think that the guys don't talk about it or think about it or hear people talking about it or what have you. However, they know the focus for us is a one game every week deal. Because no matter what, the situation was, no matter whether we had won that game and came back home to play the game we have this week, or obviously we lost and having to play this game this week, this game was still going to have the implications confidence-bearing implications on whether we're going to have a chance to go on or not. So this game didn't lose any of its luster, didn't lose any of its impact. Really, what it really did was gain a little bit more. So at the end of the day, this game was going to be what it was going to be. We only can play them one at a time, so that has to continue to be the focus. That was in the rearview mirror, and we moved right away in the locker room at South Carolina State on to what we needed to do this week.
Well, let's look forward. This week, you face North Carolina Central at home. The Eagles defeated Norfolk State last week, 38-24, and are hoping to clinch that conference title. Can you share your thoughts on this pending matchup?
If you got a whole lot to say this week, you're making up rhetoric, right? Don't make things up. It's one that's been circled for a long time. No matter the situation, like I said, we know it was going to be the game for us this year. We get to play it at home. There's a lot that's already been said that was said in the past that I don't think we have to sit here and go to church on the importance of this game this week.
Well, thanks, Coach Scott. That concludes all of my questions. Please remain for additional questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raise hand function and remain muted until you're introduced.
Our first questions for Coach Scott will come from Mr. Nathaniel Henry Jr.
Good morning, Coach. How you feeling this morning?
Real great. How you doing, Nate?
Great. Nathaniel Henry, Howard Sports Media. I have a question. Talk about the growth of Clayton Fern and his consistent play.
Kind of lost you there, Nate, on the back end. You muted yourself, yeah. I said you asked about Clayton Perrin?
Yes, sir. As well as Kenny Gallup Jr.
Those guys have been solid for us all year, right, on the back end. Doing a good job of being interchangeable too, being able to play, both positions, especially with Clayton, being able to play both our weak and free safety position. He's a highly football intelligent kid. He works hard at it. It means a lot to him. And like I said, he's just been consistent and solid, all year round. So our safety play has been on point between three guys that we kind of rotate back there. That has done a pretty good job. We missed some tackles this week. Obviously, that it led to explosive runs by South Carolina State. Something we definitely got to shore up and not have happen this week. But for the most part, those guys have been really solid and played really well for us on the back end.
Yes, sir. As you prepare for a good North Carolina Central team, who will be the focus?
I mean, you can't just focus on one guy, especially when you talk about, their backs. They have skill on the outside, the quarterback. They run the football really well. They throw it really well. There's balance, as an offense that we probably going to see all year. And we know how explosive they can be at any point in time. This is going to be a game that every blade of grass is going to have to be defended. Every minute is going to matter. Every play is going to matter. Everything's going to matter. Every point's going to matter. All of it's going to matter. So at the end of the day, there's no one person. I mean, obviously the quarterback, it all goes through him. You better make sure you got a really good plan to, contain him and do some different things to kind of keep him off kilter if you can. He's a tremendous football player. They have a tremendous football team, and I look forward to the challenge.
Thank you, Coach.
Our next questions for Coach Scott will come from Dr. Kenyatta Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill inside the HBC Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Scott.
Good morning. How we doing, Doc?
I'm good. I know this kind of weeks you live up for. I can say the same for myself as a media coverage. I like these type of matchups. But before we get into that, we got to go back and review. First question, I will do that in terms of South Carolina State get on the road. Obviously, you spoke about their ability to run the ball. Were there some things coming into that matchup that concern you about your defense that you saw that this may happen? Probably not to this magnitude, but you've been continuing to work at with your defense that came across and obviously took place this past week.
No, there are some concerns with the run game. I think I said that last Monday that We've been really good against the pass. I think we're really highly rated in the country against the pass, but kind of lopsided when it comes to regards to stopping the run consistently. There's been times where we've slowed the run game down and done what we needed to do there and kind of put the clamps on it. But then there's been times where, we've kind of been exposed a little bit in our run defense. And that's something that we definitely really got exposed on with this week. It wasn't a whole lot of misfits and things like that, which, concerns you as a coach. A lot of it was, missed tackles. I can't say enough about the back that young man is at South Carolina State. He runs for power, he runs for vision, he runs for speed, he has size. He's a tremendous back. And I just think that at the end of the day, if we can't stop the run, we're going to have a hard time beating anybody and playing well against anybody. So we gotta make sure we shore that up and do whatever we need to do, and particularly this week, to make sure we at least neutralize the run game, make it not be something that we have all those explosive plays created, and those type of things, or it won't be our type of football game. So definitely something, Doc, we got to put the clamps on.
All right, let's get into the good stuff. I got what I have as a top 10 matchup. Number 9 coming in, Howard is what I have y'all. North Carolina Central, obviously a top 10 FCS program. They have a quarterback, Richard, that we know has a chance to play on Sundays. He seemed to be everything, and he's living up to it. They have the running back, Mookie, in terms of what they like to call him, and he seems just to be able to get done all over the field in regards to that. But they're coming into your house. Green Stadium, Washington, D.C., this game obviously has all implications in terms of winning championships, co-championships last year. People didn't like it. Titles and things going back and forth in terms of how people play. Obviously, the Celebration Bowl is on the line. I need to know what provides Howard University an opportunity to win this football game.
I mean, you just said it all, Doc. I wish you can go ahead and do that the whole thing. We can wrap the press conference up because you just laid it all out. At the end of the day, you got an opportunity to do that, and you got a chance to do it at home. That's all you can really ask for. Is the opportunity to be presented on the stage that it's going to be presented on, for it to have the implications that it has. I mean, and when you're a football program, right, and especially our program, from where we've come from, to be even in the breath and be in the opportunity and to have the chance for that spotlight and that opportunity and to be able to do it at home, there's nothing more you can ask for, right? And setting the stage for what you come to Howard to have an opportunity to do. That's why you're here, and you get a chance to do it at home. At the end of the day, enough said. If I got to go in throwing chairs and coming up with great pregame talks and speeches and motivations and different things, I got the wrong group of guys. I got the wrong dudes sitting in that locker room looking back at me. I think they all understand it. It's something that's been kind of chirped and talked about for a little while, especially when there was some gas poured a little bit already on a burning fire. So it's kind of it's got everybody's attention. I would tell you that. But what a heck of an opportunity for us against a really good football team at home in Green Stadium, and you got all the things lined up to play for. So.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it, Coach. Thank you for your time. Certainly, if I had the jet and my money was right, I'd be there, but I certainly will be watching on ESPN. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, man, when you start flying around on jets, let me know. Maybe we go half in and figure it out.
Our next question comes from Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, good morning, Coach Scott. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm good, Coach. Got a question for you, and this pertains to your offense. And with all due respect, I just want to ask you about, is there any concern with the tempo that your offense plays with respect to the play clock? Because it seems that on offense, you take it down to almost within the last 5 seconds before the play clock expires.
A lot of that is just strategy. A lot of it is kind of playing to some of what we doing. We're getting a lot of different looks and things from people that we want to make sure we have a time to drill in on. As long as that ball snapped out before zero's on the clock, that really doesn't concern me. It is whether it's a possession drive whether we're in the 13th play of the drive or whether we're in the 6th play of the drive. I don't think that's. I mean, I know a lot of people pay attention to a lot of different things. That doesn't have a bearing one way or the other. As long as that ball snapped and off by the time it's 0, that's all that matters to me.
In terms of your players and their ability to bounce back from what could be a devastating loss against South Carolina State, in which the manner in which it happened, what was the morale like post game, and what was Sunday like after the game?
Oh, it was, back to work as usual, back to the drawing board. We all understand that game didn't eliminate us. It eliminated us from being in control of our own destiny, quote unquote, so to speak, or having an opportunity to clinch with this game. But we also knew that no matter what the circumstance was, this game was the one that mattered. We want to win every time we get a chance to play. We've had to come back from losses and things like that before. We bounce back. That's been the rhetoric of the year. You get beat by Harvard, you got to come back and find a way to win homecoming. You do these things, so it's like bounce back in, bounce back. It's work. It's going to work as usual. One thing we talk about in our program is building a high level of consistency to a standard of who you are. And at the end of the day, you can't roll over and cower over and go, quit and take your ball and go home. No, you got to stand up, face adversity, stand in the face of all of it, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. Stand in the face of it all. Be who you are. Be consistently the man, the person that you're becoming, the champion that you're becoming, the winner that you're becoming. Period. In the story. That doesn't change based on a situation that, woe is me, or, oh, yeah, great, we did it. No, it doesn't change. You got to learn how to be flatline right there, consistently being who you are as you strive to become better each and every week. So we don't get into the up and down emotional roller coaster type rhetoric around here. We talk about the consistency of trying to develop the man, the person, and that man and that person will win football games. It ain't about the games. It's about who you want to become as a person, as a competitor, as a winner.
Coach, thank you for that comment, and good luck this weekend when you take on Central.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Our next questions come from Mr. Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard, HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just one quick question. The health of Ian Wheeler, I noticed he wasn't playing on Saturday. What is his current health status, and will he be available on Saturday?
Ian's 100% healthy. He will be playing on Saturday. He'll be full speed. He'll be full go.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And our next questions come from Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. I hope you and everyone in the nation's capital are well. We've talked about it over the season, but just the constant challenge of the meat grinder, if you will, the 5-week marathon. And again, there's a lot of football left when you look at the last 2 weeks. Just talk a little bit about continuing to grind it out, so to speak.
Yeah, that's just what it is, right? I mean, the heart of a champion, the heart of any football program that wants to build and have the pedigree to win year in and year out, it's going to always be that grind. That's on every level of football, whether you're talking about from little league to high school to college to the National Football League, the ultimate grind, right? It's always going to be that. And the difference is you don't go in and week out change, what you're doing in the process of how you do it. You just do what you do, and you got to do it better each and every week. Obviously, we got to do some things better this week, a whole lot better this week than we did last week, or we won't get the result that we want. So at the end of the day, it's about weekly and daily improvement, sticking to, what it is and how you do things, and making sure that the mentality and mindset adjusts and flows along with it to get the results that you want. So again, I don't think that's the grind is a grind. It is what it is. And the ones who do it the best and can do it the hardest, the longest, with the most focus and the most attention to detail are usually the ones that find themselves on top. So hopefully that leads, to a great week for us.
Coach, with 2 games remaining, last year you were able to secure part of the crown of the MEAC championship co-champions. But with a couple weeks left, again, there's still a lot of football left to shake this thing out. Just talk about going in and again, 2 more opportunities.
Yeah, 2 more opportunities, but you can't play the second one before you play the first one. So at the end of the day, the only one that's important is the one that we have on Saturday at 3:30 in Green Stadium. And that's all our focus is on right now is putting together the best plan possible, making sure we got the right mindset and mentality as we approach this thing. and taking it one day at a time, and then getting into the game and taking it one play at a time. So that is all the focus is right now.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed week.
You do the same. Thank you.
That is all of our questions for Coach Scott at this time. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Coach Scott, thanks again for joining us this morning, and best of luck to you and the team this week.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Howard will host North Carolina Central on Saturday, November 11th. That game kicks off at 3:30 p.m. at Green Stadium in Washington, D.C. The game will broadcast live on ESPNU. Our next interview is with North Carolina Central head coach Trey Oliver. Good morning, Coach Oliver.
Good morning, Patricia. How are you?
I'm doing well, Coach. How are you?
I'm well. Lost my voice a little bit, so if I get a little raspy, please forgive me.
Okay, well, sounds like you're doing as much work on the sidelines as the players are on the field.
Trying.
All right, well, we'll get right to it, Coach. Nice win last week as you defeated Norfolk State 38-24. Can you talk a little bit about that matchup?
It was great homecoming. The house, it was packed out here. The unbelievable energy in the stadium. The fans came out, obviously, and the students were very engaged. But great weekend, and we played former teammate of mine, Coach Odoms in Norfolk State. But we jumped out to a fast start. We were up 28-3. And then I kind of lost a little focus and let them back in it. They scored 21 unanswered points. And, we preach about those middle 8 minutes, the last 4 of the first half and the first 4 of the second. And we did not win those middle 8. And I talked to the guys at halftime. I knew it was going to be a dogfight. I know Coach Odoms and how he prepares. And I knew those guys from Norfolk were going to come out and they weren't going to quit. And, we had our hands full the second half. Fortunately, we made enough plays in the second half to be able to pull out the win.
Well, Coach, with the win, excitement must be boiling over for this team as you're now the lone undefeated team in the conference. Is that excitement beneficial to the team at this point, or is there room to temper that excitement until the work has been concluded?
Well, it's not done by any stretch. And we talk about, thermostat mentality around here. So, not too high, not too low. But, we're very blessed and happy to be, in the situation where we're in now, being undefeated in conference play. But, all the work that we've done up to this point, doesn't even matter if we lose a game right now. So we try to stay in the moment and, we're just looking ahead. We don't worry about last week or the success we had. Our focus is strictly on the game this weekend against Howard.
Well, speaking of that matchup, this week you traveled to Washington, D.C. to face the Howard Bison. Howard was edged out last week against South Carolina State and are hoping to defend their home turf. What are your thoughts regarding this upcoming game?
This is going to be a battle. Howard is a well-coached team. They're a complete team. They have a lot of experience on their staff, and I have the utmost respect for Coach Scott, and what he's done there. Coach is an offensive mind, offensive genius. But, we got to play really, really well this weekend. Obviously, last week, I'm sure, they didn't get the results they wanted, but Buddy P was going out for homecoming, the last one. So I know the Bulldogs were going to do everything he could to try to get that, to secure that win. But Howard's a good team. They're a complete team. So we have to play well in all 3 phases. And, obviously it's a championship game. It's all on the line right here this weekend.
Well, thanks, Coach Oliver. That concludes all of my questions. We'll now take questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced.
Our first questions for Coach Oliver will come from Dr. Kenyatta Cavill.
This is Kenyatta Cavill. Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As you said, must have been a great atmosphere, homecoming, capacity of 10,000, but they were able to list over 13,000 in attendance.
Don't say that, fire marshal might come.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's probably a little more than that. Y'all just got tired of counting the tickets, as they say.
Great crowd, though.
Yeah, no doubt. And you deserve it the way your team is playing in terms of the fans. Talk a little bit about what made you successful in this particular matchup against Norfolk State that has been able to play well. They just haven't been able to do enough to get the wins. So while the record is not where you do and look at it in terms of top type of matchups, they're very physical in a lot of ways. made you successful in this particular matchup?
We were able to, start fast and jump out there early. We made some huge plays at the skill position. I thought Davius, our quarterback, was on and hit some big passes early in the game. And, defense, we got some stops. So, played all well in all three phases. We blocked the punt. And I was pleased to see that. But, Norfolk State's a good football team. And their record doesn't, show how good they are. But if you look, and I showed my guys stats throughout the week, they've been in every game. All they lost, I think, except for one to Temple, was by one possession. So every game came down to the wire, even if you look back with them and Howard. So we knew it was going to be a dogfight. We knew it was going to be a 60-minute game. And we were not going to overlook those people because, like I said, that is a talented group. They are very good at skill positions and very physical group.
Follow up, let me get to the real deal. This is the big one. That's what they tell me. I have it as a top 10 matchup. I said to Coach Scott, I have Howard ranked 9, North Carolina Central ranked 1. I know you don't get into all these numbers, but I got to do what I got to do because they told me that this is the game that a lot of people are looking forward to for various reasons as we match up. You're going on the road with your number 1 ranked team that has been successful all this year. You stacked up 8 wins, undefeated in conference play. You have championship on the line in a lot of ways. Obviously, you got one more after this. Celebration Bowl is hanging in the balance. ESPNU on the road. Tell me why this is a matchup we need to watch, why this is the type of game the Eagles like to play and actually play really well in these type of matchups.
Yeah, it's a championship game. You got 2 really, really good football teams. Howard's been very successful since Coach taking over that program. And, we've had some success here as well. But, our guys looking forward to the matchup. I'm looking forward to the matchup. Being a competitor, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. We put together a very difficult, challenging schedule because I want our guys to get tested. And, we win those games. You get recognition and you get some people looking at you and have opportunity to get ranked in polls and things of that nature. So I'm a competitor. I love competition, bottom line. I want to play really, really good football teams. And that's what makes the game fun, man. When you get a chance to coach against Coach Scott, who's, Power 5 coach and, the staff that he's been able to assemble there, that's what makes it fun for competitors. Now, not everybody's a competitor. Some people like to ease the way out, So what better game? Championship game on the line. We get to go to D.C. and we go to their place. But we got a great alumni following in the D.C., Maryland area. So the Eagles are going to be deep in D.C. this weekend.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I like competition. They'll be glad, as I told Coach, my money ain't right there, but I'm working on it. If I haven't yet, I'll be up there. But I promise you, I'll have this on. This is going to be a good one. I want to see how y'all get down and make it work. All the special players that you have on both sides of this game. This is why HBCU football is special to many of us. So thank you for all the work that you're doing, Coach. Look forward to the matchup. Make sure you tell Kyle to continue to do the great work he's doing. I appreciate it.
Kyle is the GOAT.
No doubt. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Doc.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Mr. James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everyone in Eagles Nation are well. Mr. Richard, 9 of 16 for 151 and 3. Talk about the quarterback. He's playing high-level football, and he's a special gentleman.
Yeah, he was 9 for 16, and I think we had like 4 drops. So, he played really well this weekend and, made some tough throws. Very pleased with his performance. We usually throw the ball a little bit more than that, but we thought we could take advantage of things in the run game. And we were able to run the ball not as effectively and efficiently as I wanted to, but we were able to move the ball on the ground. But, he's a very consistent young man. I think he's definitely should get drafted, but he'll have opportunity to play on the next level. But great young man, great, very talented quarterback.
Coach, last season I had the opportunity to come through for the game when you guys played Howard. Big time game. It was in Carolina last year, but this season, obviously up in DC, does it matter where the game is played when you have two teams of this caliber? And just talk a little bit about locking in, going in, and what that looks like. And it makes for a really very, very high level game.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where we play. You know, our guys are excited for the opportunity to be able to put the ball down and compete against another good team. You know, we are going to look at our travel plans and what we did last time we traveled. A couple weeks ago, we went up to Morgan State and did not play well at all. So our guys are going to have to, you know, stay locked in, although we're going to be on the road. You know, we just got to make the main thing. It's all about football. And whether we play in D.C. or Durham County, D.C. or Washington, D.C., it doesn't matter. We got to play well.
Thank you. Have a great week and good luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next questions will come from Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Oliver, how you doing this morning?
Hey, what's up, Ty?
I'm good, man. Just want you to preserve your voice. So I'm just going to ask you a very brief question. Has your team played its best game yet? And if so, what has prevented it from doing that?
I hope we have not played our best game. I hope that we have not. I thought we played well against South Carolina State, but you know, I want to see us play at a high level for 60 minutes on all three phases. And I think that we've shown that we can be explosive offensively. We've shown that we can be physical and get stops defensively. We have shown that we can, you know, be explosive, make plays in the kicking game. But you got to play a complete game at a high level when you start playing, you know, start talking about championships. And I think the biggest thing is limiting your mistakes. You know, Eagles can't be Eagles, bottom line. So as long as we can limit our mistakes, you know, I feel good about our chances.
All right, Coach, that's all I got. Thank you. Good luck.
Oh, man, thank you.
That is all of our questions for Coach Oliver at this time.
Well, Coach, your voice sounds just fine to me. So it must be that competitor in you pushing through. We appreciate it this morning.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great one. North Carolina Central will travel to Green Stadium to take on Howard on Saturday, November 11th. That game will be played in Washington, D.C., kicking off at 3:30 p.m. and will broadcast live on ESPNU. Our next interview is with Delaware State head coach Lee Hull. Good morning, Coach Hull.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Good. No technical difficulties today. So we're good.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you joining us and all the work that you do to join us each and every week. So thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me.
Well, Coach, unfortunately, you guys were not victorious last week, but you did make a surge in the second half to remain competitive all the way until that finish. Can you talk about that matchup against Morgan State?
Yeah, you know, we knew going into the game that it would come down to the wire. You know, like I said before, we were kind of similar programs. You know, going through the kind of similar things. It was a tale of two halves. We really did not play very well in the first half. You know, didn't put any points up on the board. We had 2 turnovers. Our goal was not to have any turnovers, not to beat ourselves. We knew it would come down to the wire, and who made the least amount of mistakes will win the game. So that was one of our keys of victory, was not to turn the ball over, and we did that in the second half to stall. In the first half, and stall drives for us. But then in the second half, we didn't turn the ball over. You know, we scored 17 points and got back into the game. You know, we were down 3, and then, you know, 3rd and 19, we give up a big long play, which we can't do, which they went down and scored, and that kind of was the difference in the ball game. But again, you know, we're close. We got to be in those type of games to learn how to win those games. But you know, we can't start off slow and then come in the second half and come out on fire and fight an uphill battle. But I do like the way our guys are fighting, because they didn't give up, and you know, we got down to the end, and you know, the defense needed to make a stop to try to get the offense back of the ball, so we just didn't finish things.
Well, Coach, you're more than just a coach to some of these players. You are a father to one. Your son, Jordan, has been a part of this year's journey. How has it been to coach your son during this season?
Oh, it's been great. You know, a lot of fathers don't get the opportunity to do that, coaches. When you do get an opportunity to do that, you got to cherish those moments because we're away from the house so much. You know, him growing up, I missed not just a lot of his football games, or you know, he played basketball. You know, it's a lot of stuff with academics. You know, awards and stuff that he missed because you know it's what we do. So to get an opportunity now, you know, even though he's a grad student, you know, it still feels great, and I cherish every moment that I have to be able to spend time with him and catch up on all the years that I missed with him growing up.
Well, this week you host Norfolk State. The Spartans were defeated last week against North Carolina Central and are hoping to snap a 5-game losing skid. How do you see your Hornets stack up against NSU?
Well, again, just like the Morgan game, I think we're like teams. You know, we're still trying to search for our identity, trying to get that first MEAC win, you know, of the year. So again, it's going to come down to the end. It's going to be a tough game. They play hard, you know. Just watching their defense, they play hard. They fly around. They've been in games like we have. They've lost some heartbreakers like we have. So we're very, very similar. And again, I think it's going to come down to who does not make mistakes, who does not beat themselves. You know, so if we cannot turn the ball over, you know, on offense, not give up those explosive plays on 3rd and 19 and stuff, you know, that's who's going to win the game because it's similar teams.
Well, thanks, Coach Hall. That concludes all of my questions. We'll now take questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced.
Our first questions for Coach Hull will come from Dr. Kenyatta Cavill.
It's Kenyatta Cavill. Dr. Cavill's inside the HP Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Hull.
Hey, good morning, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Man, this seemed like such a physical matchup. I'd like you to talk a little bit about, is that what I saw, or was it something else? Before that, though, as you were alluding to, your team continues to fight. You were literally down 17-0 as you go into half 10-0 before you start to push back a little bit and make some plays. You even get it to 17-14, and then Morgan was able to go on, I believe, a 7-play drive to stretch the lead out. And then later again, you cut it to 7 as you continue to fight with 3 minutes left and couldn't quite get the ball back to make a drive of your own, maybe tie it up. But talk about that in regards to the physicality nature of this particular matchup.
Yeah, we knew going in Morgan was going to be a physical game. You know, they're a physical team, especially on defense. You know, they do a great job. You know, on defense, those guys, you know, especially number 0, number 11. I mean, they got some guys. Their linebackers, you know, played hard. I mean, they were coming downhill. So we knew that going in, that it was going to be a physical game, and it was. You know, again, you know, just offensively, you know, we made some mistakes. You know, we turned the ball over twice in the first half. We were driving the football against them. But a team like that, you got to meet their physicality. And it's going to be the same thing this week against Norfolk State. Their defense is physical. So it's going to be a physical game. Their offense is going to be physical. They like to run the ball. It's going to be a physical game. But we have to meet those challenges. And I think in the first half, we did not do that. But somehow we have to figure a way to start fast. You know, we've always claimed out in the second half and been a kind of a second half team, but somehow I got to get these guys up in the first half. And that was our biggest discussion yesterday in our team meeting, is how can we start fast? Because we're putting ourselves in a hole and then going to have to dig out of that hole in the second half. And it hasn't worked the last 2 weeks. And we played 2 very good, 2 physical teams, and we're going to play another very good physical team this week.
Alluding to that, getting into that next matchup, you're back at home against Norfolk State. Again, another physical team. They like to push you on the line and try to be able to run the ball to set up, you know, some passes, maybe going down the field. But I want to talk about your team, particularly from the offensive side of the ball with the freshman, Marquis Adams. How do you see his maturation, particularly as you get into conference play? And what does he have to be able to get done along with the offense to be able to put up enough points to win this game on Saturday?
Yeah, Marquis, the more he plays, the better he's going to get. He does bring a added dimension, being very athletic, being able to get out of some trouble, making stuff happen with his legs. Last game, he was 22 for 28. 3 of them got knocked down at the line of scrimmage, and he threw one pick that he shouldn't have thrown. Guy was covered. So there'll be some growing pains with a freshman quarterback that way, and he gave up a fumble where he's got to protect the football. So he is getting better as the season progresses here. Offensively, we are getting better. Far as learning what we need to do. I think our next step is really understanding the concept of the play. And that year one, the players are learning the offense. Year two, now they understand why you're doing things, where the ball's supposed to be hit. So that's the same thing for Marquis as a quarterback. Understanding coverages. Being able to process everything faster. Now he's learning, hey, guys have this route to run, but now you got to put it all together. So I like where we're going offensively. I just think that we need to start off faster. And our whole team is just waiting for something. We talked about this, waiting for something to happen to give us a spark. Like in the second half, we scored. Now everybody's hyped. Like, we got to make something happen. We cannot sit there and wait for it to happen.
I appreciate that, Coach. Thanks for the insight. Good luck this weekend. Look forward to the matchup.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Hall come from Mr. Chris Stevens.
Morning, Coach. How's it going?
Good. How's it going, Chris?
Pretty good. I know this is a results-oriented business, obviously, but if you take away the South Carolina State game, this team has played some really good football over the last month, about 5 weeks. Just what do you hope to bottle up from the momentum of these last few weeks and take it into the last 2 games of the regular season?
Yeah, just like you're saying, we're actually playing pretty good football. It's just you take and it's every game you say that you take 2 or 3 plays away, and it's a different result. So I just want us to keep getting better as a team. It's our first year together as a group, and we're still learning each other. So I just want us to keep getting better and better, and just stop killing ourselves and stop making those mistakes that are killing yourself, because you're in the ball games. So which is good, but again, like I said, I know I'm probably saying the same thing over and over, but we got to be in these type of games to learn how to win these games. So the more that we're in these games, one of them is going to come out on our side in our favor. And our thing is, I just want our guys to keep fighting, and that's what they have been doing. They're fighting, they're not giving up, and that makes a mark of a team that is going to be successful at some point. It might not be as fast as everybody wants it, but if you got that fight in you and you're not going to die, you're not looking at the scoreboard and you're just fighting, and to give your guys a chance, and you're fighting for 60 minutes, good things are going to happen. So these next 2 games, I just want to see us improve and not beating ourselves, and just keep fighting for 60 minutes.
You're going up against the Norfolk State team that, similar to Morgan State, they have a strong defense. They love to run the ball. They have a quarterback that is mobile. We've talked before about, your defenses, need to improve the tackling and different things, and hitting the holes and different things of that nature. Just how do you think they're progressing in that regard, and what do you expect to see in that vein against Norfolk State on Saturday?
Yeah, really, they did a good job of stopping the run. We had 2 explosive plays on pass plays. Like I said, the play for them to go up 7, get 20, go to 24. It was 3rd and 19. The guy's in great position. Instead of looking up, he looked out and he didn't see the ball. Like, he was in position to make the play. So we're there. It's just little fundamentals and techniques that way. But they did a great job running the ball. The one big run that they did get explosive run was we didn't have contained. And the guy was there, but he went inside. He should have stayed outside. We would have made the ball bounce back inside to where the pursuit was coming. He gets outside. So there's little things like that where, you know, leverage, contain wise. But if you look at it, we had less missed tackles than we had been. And in the last two games, I thought we're doing a very good job of stopping the run. Now we just can't get those explosive plays up in the pass game because all these games are going to be close. You know, coming down here to the wire. You know, in the like you said, besides the South Carolina State game, the last two games are one-score games where one explosive play will hurt you. But I think we're playing more physical. I think, you know, we got the guys in the right positions to make plays. And I like where we're going on defense. You can see the improvement.
And lastly, as you come down this home stretch, first year on the job here in Dover, this team clearly just needed a new direction. And it seems like they're playing better football. Just how do you describe or would summarize the morale of this team as you head down the home stretch? It seems like, you know, the confidence is building. What are you seeing as the coach is going in there in the building every day?
Yeah, I think the confidence is building. I think they understand what what we're trying to do, you know, as a staff, as a program, you know, what we want from them as players and the expectations. They understand that we're just beating ourselves in these games and that we got to stop making these critical errors at critical times. But there's no quitting these guys. So I think the players like the direction that we're going in. And like you said, you can see the improvement. I know it's not in the wins and losses, but you can see us getting better on the field. And it's just, hey, stop killing ourselves.
All right, Coach, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Our next questions come from Mr. James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody are well. Let me ask you this. The parity in HBCU football and in particular in the MEAC, talk a little bit about the parity and how competitive these teams are. In many cases, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you know, especially with the transfer portal, you know, junior college stuff, you can get good fast, and it's the parity. And if you look at those teams, everybody has a pretty good defense. You know, in this league where you can get guys, and like I said, you can get good fast on defense by going out and getting the right guys. You know, through the transfer portal. And I think that's helped everybody to be equal. Now, if you look at the best two teams in the league, what do they have? They have quarterbacks. If you look at Central, you look at Howard, they both got veteran quarterbacks. So that's when and if you look at Del State, Morgan, Norfolk, they got young quarterbacks that, you know, are still learning. And stuff. So that's the thing. I think you know in this league because of the parity, you got to have a good defense, and if you have a trigger man, you know, on offense, you're going to be successful because you know everybody plays physical type of brand of football. You know, in the trenches, you know, the skill guys are about the same. You know, I know Central has that running back that can take it a distance. You know. At one time, so does Howard has number 3 that does that for them too, and that's the difference. You got to get that one difference maker on offense and get a quarterback.
This weekend, you have an opportunity to play your last home game of the season with Norfolk coming in. Talk about that opportunity, Alumni Stadium, an opportunity for a packed house, the Hornets to come back home, so to speak, and what that can look like for an opportunity to get one.
Yeah, I mean, we got to worry about ourselves, but the biggest thing is I think our guys love our seniors, and it's going to be senior day, and they're going to want to send those guys out the right way. So I know they're going to come and play a great game, play a physical type of game. You know, something that the Hornet Nation could be proud of. You know, like you said, we play for 60 minutes. We're going to play hard. You know, there's going to be no quit in us. So we have a great opportunity to, you know, hopefully get a win, you know, for our seniors, you know, the last home game, you know, in front of our crowd, you know, to give them something to be proud of and, you know, look forward to next year. You know, all those things. So, but at the end of the day, you know, the players can't worry about that. And coaches, we got to worry about ourselves and getting and prepare and get the best game plan that we possibly can, playing the best brand of football that we can, and try not to kill ourselves on, you know, in the game and just do our assignments and do your job, all those things. Because if you worry about all that outside stuff, you're not gonna play well. So we just got to stay focused on the task at hand and play for 60 minutes and play hard for 60 minutes.
Thank you, Coach. Have a great week.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our questions for Coach Hull at this time.
As always, thank you for joining us this morning, Coach Hull. Best of luck to you and the team this week.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Delaware State will host Norfolk State on Saturday, November 11th. That game will be played at Alumni Stadium in Dover, Delaware, and will kick off at noon on ESPN+. Our next interview is with Norfolk State head coach Dawson Odoms. Good morning, Coach Odoms.
Norfolk State.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Coach. Give me just a moment. It seems like we're getting a little feedback from one of our lines. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Good morning again. I apologize for that brief interruption. Coach, last week it was a tough loss as you guys faced North Carolina Central. Can you assess your team's performance in the matchup?
Well, it's about how the season's been going. I think we right there. We come out, we play, we fight. Good environment. It's homecoming. They get off to a fast start. We reel them back in. It's a football game. It's 24-28. We feel like the momentum is on our side. We're driving. We're making plays. We're getting off the field on third down. We're executing. Sap came in. He played really well. He was under the weather. Otto was under the weather. He tried to go. He got injured. Brought in Ruben Lee. He played. Sap came from the urgent care, and he was ready to go. He came in, got dressed, and it's just a testament of these guys, man. They play hard, they fight. That score is 24-28. You right there in the ball game. We feel like, you know, if a couple calls go a certain way, we probably had the chance to really upset them at home. They did a great job, and Coach Oliver was doing a great job there of withstanding. I think they took the punch and they answered the bell, but we really believe that we had some chances in that football game, and if that ball would have bounced our way a couple of times, we feel like we probably could have had a little different outcome because we were playing really, really well.
Well, Coach, you may have already alluded to this and or answered this question, but last week you did have a couple of players that were in that QB role. Can you talk about what led to using those multiple players under center?
Well, as I was saying earlier, we had some guys that wasn't feeling very well. We had some guys that were sick, and I mean, they were really sick, but I take my hat off to them. They tried to go, they tried to perform. Although, I mean, he didn't even come out for warm-ups. We kept him in, tried to get him some fluids before he got injured. I think he was 3 for 3. We were moving the ball, executing very well on offense. He get hit, get a shoulder injury, and then Sap is not even on the sideline when we start the game. So Lee goes in, he's playing, team just trying to execute, trying to find our way. And then all of a sudden, Sap shows up and says he can go. So we get him an opportunity, and he played really well, played inspired and played under the weather. And I always say something usually happens for you to earn the trust of your teammates. And when you're injured and you're fighting through and you want to be out there with them, there's no greater way to earn their trust and belief in you. And I commend him for it because he was not doing well Friday. When we got on the bus, he was not doing well. When we got to the hotel, he was not doing well. But for him to be able to find the strength to go out there and compete at a high level, couldn't speak more volumes of that, who that young man is. And we commend them for that effort.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, let's look towards this week's matchup. This week, you will travel to Dover, Delaware to face the DSU Hornets. What are your thoughts about this upcoming game?
Let's go be another tough battle. They're sort of like us. They're trying to find a way. Seems like when you close, the ball just don't bounce your way, and they're fighting. Coach Hall has those guys playing. They're playing hard. They're gonna play hard. They're getting better, and we're both in the same boat. We're trying to find a W. There ain't any for sale, that's for sure. So you got to go out on the field, and you just got to keep trusting your process and believing in what you're doing. And I think everybody see that you're getting better, you're playing better. But one thing they can see is that you're gonna play hard and you're gonna fight, and that's what I commend our players on, because no matter what, up or down, they just fight. And you seem like we've had some tough losses, but I mean, we pull up those pants and go back to work, man, and just tighten that belt a little bit tighter and get right back out there. And that's a testament to what I believe is the new character that we have in that locker room.
Well, thanks, Coach Odoms. That concludes all of my questions. We'll now take questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced.
Our first questions come from Mr. James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody in the Spartans Nation are well. Mr. Cameron Sapp had an opportunity to play, and he went out, he threw a couple touchdowns, he ran the ball, and at first he wasn't even dressed down. But just talk about a gentleman like that continuing to grind, transferring, and just working his way to get an opportunity to play as a student athlete.
Well, I always say you can always get better when you don't worry about who gets the credit. When you just come to work every day and roll your sleeves up and just chop wood, carry water, just follow the process, it allows you to be ready when your name is called. We called on 2 quarterbacks. We called on Ruben Lee right after Otto gets injured, and he gets a chance to go out there. We call on Cameron Sapp, and you can see how 2 guys perform totally differently. And I always say is that when you work hard and you just believe and you just do the right things, good things happen for you. One guy took fully advantage of his opportunity. Another guy didn't play really bad. It's just that it didn't happen for him. But when Sapp came in, I really believe that he had it on his mind that I'm going to embrace this opportunity. I may not never get it again. This is what I've been working for. This is what I've always wanted. And he excelled in it, not because of that day, but it's because of all the days leading up to that day. And you can see that. You can see how comfortable he was. You can see that we played differently with him in there. And I'm just happy that both of them got an opportunity to play, Ruben Lee and Sapp, because I know as a quarterback, you just wait on those opportunities. So I feel good about the room. I feel good about the experience that they're gaining at those positions, but I couldn't be more excited for how they handle that situation and perform.
Coach, your next opportunity is on the road up at Delaware State University. Talk about going in the trenches and just grinding and playing another good football game coming up this weekend.
Well, I think that's always the challenge is can we put it all together? And we're gaining on it. And I really think we're in a good place, man. These guys are going to show up. They're going to go to work and hopefully we can just go play well. It's tough playing on the road. It's tough environments, but we embrace it because I think it gives you an opportunity to, get your team together, circle around each other, pull for each other, create your own energy and juice and get yourselves ready to play football. And we've been battle tested, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity. We know it's going to be an exciting football game, and hopefully the ball bounce our way.
Have a blessed week, sir.
You too. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Odoms come from Mr. Chris Stevens.
Good morning, Coach Odoms. Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports. How's it going?
Morning, Chris. Thank you. Going well.
You mentioned last week that you have only a handful of seniors. So for this team to be as young as it is and to remain as competitive as it is, just how does that give you confidence and faith, as you mentioned last week, you know, being strong in your faith, just seeing these young guys just keep getting up, just how does that make you feel about the future of this program?
Well, I think one thing you have to look at is that it defines your character. It defines, you know, who you are, what you're about. One thing that I think all coaches appreciate is the fact that when other programs recognize that you're going to play hard, you're not going to quit, they're not going to give up. And I think that's a testament to our coaching staff, and that's a testament to the young men that we've recruited. And it's going to come together. You can see it. And I think from a year ago to where we are now, the wins are not landing as we would like for them to, but I think everybody now starting to see why I said when we started conference play, we're going to be a tough out. You're going to have to earn it. And we put ourselves in a position where had the ball bounce, you know, another way, we'd be sitting here talking about something totally different. To be in every ball game, coming down the stretch of every ball game, we understand what we need to do going forward and how we need to continue to move the program forward. But we got 2 opportunities this Saturday. We're in Delaware, and we got a chance to win a football game. And we got to have that mindset to continue to go out and play 60 minutes and compete as hard as we can and give ourselves a chance to win. And I believe if you do that every week and you can be consistent in that, winning will eventually find you.
And speaking of that next opportunity in Dover this weekend, this Delaware State team, like you said, it's a mirror image. You guys both of your teams are young. You're both trying to find that elusive MEAC win. Just what do you think from a strategical standpoint is going to stand out for your team in order to get the win? What do you think you guys need to do first and foremost to get off to a good start?
Well, we got to play fundamentally sound football, which we can't turn the ball over. We got to protect the football. We got to find a way to get some takeaways. We got to be able to run the football. We got to be able to stop the run. We got to get out the field on third down defense. We got to stay on the field third down offense. We got to play well on special teams. Win the effort battle, win the penalty battle, win the turnover battle, and I feel like we'll have a chance.
All right, thanks, Coach. Best of luck this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That is all of our questions for Coach Odoms at this time.
Thank you. Behold,
Coach.
the green and gold.
Thanks for joining us this morning, Coach Odoms. Best of luck to you and the team this week.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Norfolk State will travel to Alumni Stadium in Dover, Delaware to take on Delaware State. That game kicks off Saturday, November 11th, and will kick off at noon on ESPN+. Our next interview is with South Carolina State head coach Buddy Pough. Good morning, Coach Pough.
Good morning, Patricia. How are you?
I'm doing well, Coach. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Coach, great performance last week for the Bulldogs as you pulled out a 27-24 victory over Howard. Walk us through last week's matchup.
You're exactly right. We played at home for homecoming. It was a huge crowd, great atmosphere, all of the different ingredients you have in a South Carolina State homecoming and an MEAC homecoming, I probably should say. And I need to take my hat off to Coach Scott and his outfit. First of all, he's a class act himself. And Howard's really good. They come in here, they get the football, they drive it straight down the field and score on us. And I'm sitting here thinking, here we go again, because last week against North Carolina Central, we kind of were very similar. And, I was afraid that they were going to blow us out. And somehow or another, we get out of half 10-7 now. We found that we could run the football some on them. And one of our young freshmen phenom now, because, he's now shown himself to be a little bit on the special side. Juwan Howe put us on his shoulders, and he and our offensive line and got us back in the football game and had a couple big runs and got us up 10-7 at the half. And then we come back the second half and just kind of go back and forth with them. Good football game, back and forth. And, it's 3 points, at the last 4-5 minutes of the game, 3-4 minutes of the game. And Howard's got the ball 4th and 13, trying to sustain a drive. And, their quarterback, Quentin Williams, hits their receiver just square in the chest with a ball, and he drops it to give us the football back. And at that point, we were able to get the football and run the clock out. But we were extremely, extremely fortunate to win the football game. It was a big game. It was a great game for us, but I can tell you that I'd pay to see the Central Howard game this week, because those guys, I think, are worthy. And, they'll be knocking each other, around a good bit this coming week, because both teams are really good. So I'm looking forward to, seeing what the results of that game will be.
Well, Coach, we have talked about it. Some of us are still in a little bit of denial and didn't want to talk about it, but this week will be your last home game as head coach for the South Carolina State Bulldogs program. What are your emotions? I'm stumbling even getting the question out, but what are your emotions into this game?
Yeah, and I'm stumbling around a little bit too, Patricia, so I don't want to get too deep involved with this thing. I might start crying on this on this broadcast this morning, but it's there, however you want to put it now. We got all kind of people coming back. I got the team, our first team of Coach Jefferson's era, the 1973 team, is celebrating its 50th anniversary. And all of those guys will be back. And we got a lot of players that I coached during my time here. I got guys that I coached at different places, high school guys, all kinds of different guys coming back, and my family. And then it's senior day. Our kids are here. It's been a great ride. So, we got no regrets. We are excited about the day. Hopefully we can get through the week in one piece. Everybody, in one piece and that kind of stuff. But it'll be an interesting weekend. We got a affair that Friday night before. And if you're around, you're more than welcome to come and take a look, that kind of stuff. Come and hang out a little bit. And we'd love to have you. So it'll be a nice weekend. We'll see what happens. Morgan State's coming to town. That kind of puts a little bit of damp on it, because they got a defense that'll kill a rock. It's going to be interesting to see whether we can do anything, because our strength is their strength. I don't know whether we can run the football on these guys, not because they're really good. So we look forward to seeing, what we can do with those guys. But it'll be a good weekend, at least for all of the great friends and family and all that kind of stuff that we have around here for this coming Saturday afternoon.
Well, I appreciate you refocusing me back onto what we're doing this morning and talking about this week's matchup against Morgan State. But that will conclude all my questions. So we'll ask additional media if they have any additional questions. As a reminder, please use the raise hand function if you'd like to ask a question, and remain muted until you're introduced.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Our first questions for Coach Pugh come from Mr. James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody in Orangeburg are well. How you doing today, sir?
We're doing great, James. We won a football game. It was the exact medicine we needed, because let me tell you, after that Central fiasco, boy, I didn't know. I wasn't sure. So, yeah, thank you.
Now, this young gentleman, Mr. Howe, is making a name for himself, literally, as a new school player with South Carolina State University. 27 carries, 283 yards, averaging 10 yards per carry with 3 touches. Just talk about what he was able to do, and that was a special performance.
It was. Jawan's a special guy, and he's now gotten to the point where we think he might be in possible sight of 1,000 yards. Only problem is those two teams he's got to play between Morgan and Norfolk. I don't know if there's a 100-yard game between those two guys for us, but he's a big-time slashing kind of guy. He's big enough to run through some tackles and quick enough to make some people miss. He's the typical spread guy, where you can give him the ball in different ways. And we hadn't thrown it to him a bunch, but we need to try to figure out how to get him touches from every kind of possible angle. And, we are at the point now where we finally figured out what we got, we think. So now at this point, we need to go about the task of making sure that we use him properly.
Coach, this weekend marks the end of an era in terms of your last home game. And when you look at that particular episode, yourself, everybody's coming back to Orangeburg, Corey Fields, all of your Warriors, all of you guys who have been able to make history will be there playing one of their last home games. Just talk a little bit about that, Mr. Green. All of you guys will be there and what that can look like.
Yeah, well, James, I don't know if we can get more people in here than we had last week. We think we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 in the area. And, it was a tremendous affair of sorts that way. And this weekend, I know it can't be nearly as many, but it'll be a big crowd still. We've generally averaged about 8,000 to 10,000 a game, even on just a regular basis. So we've always had good crowds here. And add to the fact that we've got all the different kinds of scenarios put together, with all the different kinds of things going on. It'll be fun to see them. And I look forward to trying to see if I can keep my composure, as we go through all of the different kinds of affairs and ceremonies and that kind of stuff that you have. Senior Day is always, I'm a big bucket of water on Senior Day in general, because it's just such a unbelievable experience to have seen these guys from where they are or from where they've been when they came in here as freshmen to where they are now as seniors. They've grown up, they're men, they want to be men when they come here, but they truly are when they get done. And, you think about all of the good times and the bad times you've had, with those guys together. So that's always probably the lead dog in this hunt, to kind of make sure that we do a good job of sending our seniors off, in a good way. And then last but not least, then, there'll be some other ceremonies. My team, Coach Jefferson's first football team here was the 1973 team. And two of the guys you might recognize, Harry was a budding young sophomore. We didn't quite know what he was at that time. And Donnie Shell, we had no clue was an NFL guy. And he kind of gets into an NFL camp, and it was a big strike year. Those guys just got on. He was a linebacker here in college, and they got him. Coach Jefferson actually came in here and moved him to defensive back, the strong safety. His senior year in college, he's been a linebacker his whole time. He's just been a regular kind of guy. And even as a defensive back, as a strong safety, in his last year, he was just kind of ordinary because he hadn't played it very much. But that was the decision that made his career. And then he gets in camp, and he's fortunate enough that they don't cut anybody, because all those guys are the only guys that got in camp. The veterans were out on strike, and they had the rookies and that kind of stuff there. And he just got to continue to make an impression, and they kept him, to be a special teams guy and to run around and do stuff of that kind. And, unbeknownst to everybody, he then becomes one of the best players in the history. He's in the Hall of Fame now. So, those guys are on that class of 73 class. And my class of 75, which was the class in between those guys, it gets picked at because we didn't have a Hall of Fame in our class. But class of 74 did, the class of 70, what was it? Class of 73 did, class of 75 did, 4 did, something like that. Yeah, somewhere in there. Anyway, we had a fun time, with each other, picking at each other about the different kind of things, because there's 3 different groups, and there's 5 different classes of people actually that were on that team.
Thank you so much, Coach. Have a blessed week.
All right, James.
Okay,
I'm stumbling around here. I can't figure out exactly where I am. I'm about to fall apart, but I'm good. All right, James. Thank you. See you.
Thank you,
soon.
sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Our next questions for Coach Pugh come from Mr. Chris Stevens.
Good morning, Coach Pugh. Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports. How's it going?
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Pretty good. Obviously, it's been an eventful week, with homecoming, you taking over as interim AD at the moment. Just talk about the challenge of overseeing all of these things while still trying to win a football game, which we were successful at doing last week.
Well, you're exactly right. You got to focus in on the task at hand. That's the most important thing that I do. And I kind of push most of the administrative stuff off on some of the administrative types that we've got here in the department. So they handle most of that stuff. And they may come to me from time to time to, occasionally ask questions about different things. But it's most of them handling that side, and then I stay on the football side. And I'm back and forth between the sides of the ball. I'm probably more involved in special teams than I am in some of the offensive, defensive stuff. So, it's all kind of a similar kind of process. It's not much different than what it would be if I was not involved in the administrative side.
All right, and you mentioned a few weeks ago, about not leaving the cupboard bare for the guy that's coming in behind you. When you have a trio of freshman running backs like Jawarn Howell, Tyler Smith, and Josh,
Josh Shaw,
Josh Shaw. Yes, I thought his last.
And we got another. Believe it or not, we got two Tyler Smiths in that class. If that makes any sense. There's a Tyler Smith from Gaffney, South Carolina. There's a Tyler Smith from Barnwell. And Tyler Smith from Barnwell, I think, is really a talent too. So I think it's four freshman running backs in that class.
Wow. And when you are able to, keep a stockpile for the guy coming in behind you, and you're able to watch these young men grow in your last year, just what does that do for you as a coach to be able to say that, you've done this the right way the entire time you've been head coach?
Well, I think it helps also to help us recruit a guy, to get a coach to come in here, because nobody wants to come to a job where he's going to have to start up from scratch. So I can tell you that our entire offensive line returns next year, all of our running backs, and we got a couple young freshman quarterbacks that I really like a bunch too, sophomores actually now. So we got people in places that will give you an opportunity to continue to have a successful program here. So whoever gets this job is going to get an opportunity to come in and kind of, get a fast car running. They just got to jump on.
And when it's almost been like night and day with this team from like the first 3 or 4 games to the season, of course, probably a lot of that has to do with coming back to MEAC play, meeting teams that more in your wheelhouse. But just you have to be pleased with the way this team has performed the last month and a half. Just what have you seen in terms of improvement that from August 23rd to today?
Yeah. Well, we got 2 new coordinators, and anytime you start up from scratch that way, you're gonna have a little bit of a transitional period of sorts. So, I think we just kind of get to know each other in a way where we get a little bit better idea of what we can do, the things that we probably should be doing more. And I think it's just at a point now where we're starting to figure some things out.
Sounds good, Coach. Thanks for your time. Best of luck this week.
Appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
Our next questions for Coach Pugh come from Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Pugh, good morning to you. Ty Miller from Black College Football Weekly. How you been?
Morning, Ty. How are you?
Coach, you're rocking back and forth. So did they already give you a rocking chair there?
No, and I don't need one either. So don't you start anything. Thank you. I got some rocking chairs in my house already. I don't need any more.
I want to ask you this, Coach. When you have a player like Jawarn, and we're in this age of
don't you start that. No, even ask that question. No.
Okay. And I want to ask you
how we keep him in the portal. I know exactly what you get ready to say.
Yeah, I want to ask you, because I know a well-known coach this weekend coming off the field, he told one player that if you play for us, you'd be playing a whole lot more. So I was just wondering, is there concern when that hits the, national landscape and people start to see him?
Yeah. I don't have an answer for that question.
All right. Well,
I can tell you that that's a violation, and that's highly unethical, as a college football coach. Now, I would hope that somebody wouldn't do that, but the good thing about it is you treat your people good. You really do a good job of building good relationships and that kind of stuff with the people. And it's more than just being on a team. It's being in a family, and you don't trade your family in at a moment's whim. And the last thing you want to do is trade your team in.
All right. Now, you mentioned 4 words to Chris Stevens that struck a nerve. You said, whoever gets this job. Now, how much will you be involved in whoever, and to what level?
I'll be somewhat involved. I don't know to what level. I mean, until you hire a guy, you don't necessarily know how much say so if it's your guy or not. Okay. So in a case where I'll be involved, yes, I will be. But now who knows how much?
And one final question on that same level. Are you aware of Chennis Berry and what he's done at Benedict College the past couple of years?
Very much so.
And are you friends with him in any way?
I am.
Okay.
Chennis spoke at our Orangeburg Touchdown Club 2 weeks ago.
Okay. That's all I wanted to ask you, Coach. Well, good luck this weekend. And
thank you.
I got to tell you, Coach, I've known you for over almost 30 years now. So you've given me some great sound bites that we could do like hours of shows on. Just want to let you know that.
Is that right?
Yeah,
most of them probably, I should have said better, but at the same time, I did the best I could.
No, you did good. You did great. Thank you.
All right, Ty. Appreciate you.
Our next questions for Coach Pugh come from Mr. Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach Dwayne Nash from the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you this morning?
Fine, Dwayne. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, Chris and Ty have already touched on the logistical side of the question that I have for you. But I just want to ask from an emotional standpoint, with everything that you have going on coming into this game, how are you capable of handling everything?
I don't know if I am. The proof will be in how well we play, how well we get through the weekend. I'm hoping that I can focus in on the main issue, which is making sure that we do a good job of sending our seniors off in the right way and handling the football team. But at the same time, who knows? We'll see.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this week.
Appreciate you, Dwayne. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Pugh come from Mr. Carl Williams.
Yeah, Carl Luke Williams. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Fine, Carl. How are you? Hey, Luke. Hell, I don't know. I didn't know what they were talking about till you said Luke. Hell.
Carl is my given name for my mom and dad.
I'm named Oliver too, but nobody knows about me and my family.
Right. That's right. But everybody knows me in the profession as Luke. So anyway, Coach, you pretty much answered the question. How much, now that you are also the AD, you've already talked about you're going to have some input. I would imagine your input has increased now that you've added that title to your name. And do you intend to stay as the not the interim, but the AD after you finish your coaching days?
No, Luke. I'm going home, and we're gonna find us an AD too at the same time, or somewhere in the same vicinity when we find a head football coach. We may even find an AD before we find a football coach. But I can tell you that no, I am not a candidate.
Okay, for AD job. So
Exactly.
I would think, you coming after Coach Jeffries, the legend himself, and I know I've heard, how's he doing? Was he at homecoming?
Coach is exactly. He was at homecoming, and he was at my house afterwards. He and my grandbaby girls are closer than I am.
Okay.
So if you see them, as a matter of fact, he had them all over the place at the game Saturday.
Yeah. So do you think there's going to be a pressure of anybody with it takes the AD job is making this decision to make sure that they choose a South Carolina State guy like you did, succeeding Coach Jeffries? I know you got a lot of former assistants that have coached with you that probably have the qualifications. Is there going to be that kind of pressure to pick a former Bulldog? What do you think?
I don't think so, Luke. I think they'll try to pick the best guy available. The one thing you got to remember is that this is not a deal here for a couple years. We're looking for a guy for the long haul. And, we've had two coaches now in maybe 30-odd years. So, it's not a deal where you're going to come in here and expect to be out of here the next year.
Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, what about but your first game this year, you played Jackson State. Somebody came up to me in the press box and said, Coach tells me they got 4,000-yard rushers on the team, and they're all freshmen. So those are the four guys that you were talking about earlier. At
They're all really good players. It's just that we got to figure out what we can and can't do with them. But now we at the point now where we're starting to figure it out a little bit. But Luke, I can tell you that those guys is a pretty good player, but those other kids are too. So I don't know exactly how you sort all that out. We'll move some of them around, and Joe Thomas, if you remember that name, was a running back, but we brought him in, and we moved him to linebacker. Those guys generally do a good job of running and striking people. So it's almost a fit that you can find a linebacker, a nickelback, those kind of guys within your running back core in high school.
That's the Joe Thomas has been in the NFL for several years.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Coach. Good luck Saturday. Congratulations on the big win, homecoming.
Thanks.
Hope to see you before the season's over.
I appreciate it. Hopefully I can see you too.
Our next questions for Coach Pugh come from Dr. Kenyatta Cavill.
Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Wills inside the HBC Sports Lab. I want to get in on this, a little bit of this fun party myself, Coach Pugh.
Thanks, Doc. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I wanted to ask you a little more about your running back that, you talked about all year about these young running backs, the freshmen, but particularly you're on how, obviously, in this matchup, as a freshman showed up, and you talked about his skills. The 283 yards, 27 carries, and 3 yards, more than 10 yards a carry. You almost a first down a carry, which is amazing when you talked about it. But with that said, the years that you've seen running backs, what makes him special, and who would you compare him to at this same stage as a freshman in his career?
I started calling him the Diesel. We had a guy that played here 10, 12 years ago. He's the head coach of one of the better programs in Charlotte, Hunter Huff High School, named Deshaun Baker. And he kind of reminds you a little bit of Baker. But he's got time is everything in football. And he's got good timing. So, he's one of those kind of guys that he knows kind of when to try to run over him. He knows kind of when to try to, give him a move and try to get around him. And he's hard to get down, especially when he gets out in space. So that's been the big reason why he's had the long runs, because nobody catches him. I mean, once he gets out, he gets a step on you, he's gone. But at the same time, he's big enough that he can run through some tackles. So he makes a lot of yardage after contact. And, that's what kind of gives him another opportunity to have a lot of big runs. So, he's been special. And as he gets through, the next year or so of his existence there, there could be some different numbers up on the board.
Follow-up question is talk about your next matchup against Morgan State. You've talked about some of these young coaches and programs they've built. Here's another one coming in here, building their program against Morgan State. Both of you are looking to come out to get the win in one way, to continue to kind of to build the program, not be in a losing record. You to end the career, not have a losing record going out. I know it's just one matchup, but talk about the physicality that both of you are like to play in the game, and how both teams are going to have players that want to get this W to continue to build on the success of this program.
You're exactly right. Coach Damon Wilson is the odds-on guy in this league to be one of the top guys for a long time. And, I think he's done a fantastic job in a short period. He comes in there last year in the middle of the summer, hadn't had much of an opportunity to do anything with his roster at all. And he gets them to a point where they were better than us last year for sure. And then he gets his people in there this summer. He gets a recruiting class, and he starts to get into the portal and get some guys that way. He's a Bowie, a Baltimore kind of guy. He's from in that neck of the woods. So he knows every nook and cranny. He knows where every kid is. He knows where all the kids are that are at Morgan. He knows where the kids who left the area and went to other places who might not be happy. They all kind of connect to him in a way where, he can get all those kids back. They know that he's a good guy, and, they can come back and play some good ball at Morgan. So, they will be a force in this league in a way where I'm glad I get an opportunity to get back and sit back and watch these guys battle, because with Dawson Odoms at Norfolk, and let me tell you something, there ain't a better guy, ain't a better football coach in this business. With Larry Scott at Howard, doing let me tell you, the classiest guy, and these guys are football coaches that bust on. They got great staffs. With Lee Hall at Delaware, all those guys. These guys, got Damon at Morgan. These guys all got their stuff together. They know exactly what they're doing. Who did I forget? And sorry, Trey. Everybody know Trey can't coach at all. He's the worst of the bunch. All right, Trey Oliver. So, but I'm gonna be really, really, really excited about sitting back and seeing these guys battle. Hopefully for years to come. Somebody's gonna start picking these guys off though, because they're all young and exciting and can talk all that coach lingo and all that kind of stuff. They know about going 1-0 and chopping wood and all that kind of stuff. Those guys got all the different angles. So it'll be fun to watch these guys battle for years to come. But Damon is right in there with them, and he might be as good as any of them.
Thank you, Coach. It's a pleasure. Keep
All
up
right,
the great
Doc.
work. Yep.
Appreciate it.
And that concludes all the questions for Coach Pugh at this time.
Thank you.
Thank
for
y'all.
joining us.
Y'all have a good day.
You as well, Coach. Have a great day and have a great week.
All right, Patricia. Appreciate you.
You as well. South Carolina State will host Morgan State on Saturday, November 11th. That game kicks off at noon on ESPN Plus and will be played at the Oliver C. Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Our next interview is with Morgan State head coach Damon Wilson. Good morning, Coach Wilson.
Good morning, Patricia. How are you?
I'm doing well, Coach. And yourself?
Doing well.
Well, Coach, last week, the Bears notched their second straight win with a 24-17 victory over Delaware State. Can you talk about that matchup?
Yeah, it was a hard-fought game. We finally started off pretty fast. But, part of this process is understanding how to kind of keep your foot on the gas, if you will. I think we kind of let up a little bit. And Delaware State's a good football team, and they were playing well, and they continued to fight, and we made a real good ball game in the second half. But it's good to get a win here at home. Send these seniors out on the right note from a home standpoint, and now we're getting ready. Our reward is South Carolina State, so now we're sitting here getting ready for these guys.
Well, last week, it was a new and true freshman that played under center for the Bears, with Todd Smith recording his first career start. Can you talk about the play of the rookie quarterback?
I think he did a lot of great things. I think Todd is going to be a really good quarterback in this league. He wasn't ready early on in the year, but through injuries and just giving him an opportunity, took advantage of his opportunity. A lot of things that we can build upon, and we made some things, correct some things from Saturday. But all in all, man, he's a great kid, and once again, he took advantage of his opportunity.
Well, we just wrapped up our conversation with Coach Buddy Pugh. This week, you faced Coach Buddy Pugh in his last home game as head coach of the South Carolina State football program. There will be a lot of excitement and a lot of energy in Orangeburg as the Bulldogs are coming off a 27-24 homecoming victory over Howard. What are your thoughts about this upcoming matchup?
Just listen to Coach Pugh. I'm kind of nervous because I think the 73 team may be there, the 74, the 75. I'm hoping those guys not dressed. If they dress, I'm gonna have a real problem. I already got enough issues on my hand with number 22 in his defensive line. So hopefully those older guys aren't dressing as well, the Donnie Shells of the world. If so, we're gonna have a lot more that we can handle. But I'm excited. Coach Pugh's a legend. He's a guy that, man, I had the opportunity to work with at the Celebration Bowl 2 years ago. And, man, it was a blessing, as a coach coming up in this profession. You watch the Buddy Pughs of the world, the Steve Wilsons of the world, Pete Richardson, Coach Jeff, you watch those guys, and, man, class act. And if at the end of the day, if my career can be just as half as good as his, I feel as though I was a successful coach.
What a great roster of coaches you just listed off there, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. That concludes all of my questions. We'll now take questions from the media. As a reminder, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced.
Our first questions for Coach Wilson will come from Mr. James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody at Morgan are well. Talk about that fourth quarter, able to get some things done to shut the door, so to speak, and get a victory when you look at the NSU game.
Well, no, it was important. It was really important. Our defense made a few stops when we needed to, and offensively, we were able to get first downs when we needed to and score the ball when we needed to win the ball game. We know coming into the year there's no easy game in the MEAC. We understand that. I mean, every week is a fight, and our guys continue to fight. Special teams made some plays, which was good to see. For specialty kicks that they had. And, gave us a short field to work with, and our guys took advantage of it.
Coach, talk a little bit about Buddy Pugh, what you see in that gentleman. And again, you had an opportunity to work with him down in New Orleans at the bowl game a couple years ago with Black college football. But just talk a little bit about, Coach, his contribution to the game, and yourself too. You're both national champions.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Pugh, like I said, man, class act. class act. He's one of those guys when we have the coaches meetings now, and he's still tightening us up. It's like he's our coach as well. So we go out to dinner. He's looking for one of the younger guys to pay, as he should. He laid the foundation for us, and he has no problem speaking his mind to us. Like I said, if I'm able to have half as much success as he's had, I really feel excited about my deal once it's all over for me.
Thank you, sir, and have a great week.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Mr. Chris Stevens.
Good morning, Coach. Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports. How's it going?
Oh, well, Chris.
Obviously, last week, this was a game where it was a mirror image of each other. You and Coach Hall of Delaware State, two young teams fighting, scrapping, trying to finish the second half of the season strong. It seems like your guys have gotten a knack of finishing football games the last couple of weeks. What do you think has been the key to that improvement?
We have reference points. When you're early in the year, you're early in with your ball club, you may not have a reference point. We found out what not to do early in the year with regards to finishing games. And, you want to learn from those reference points. And I think we've done that. Experience is the best teacher. And we've been in all types of ball games throughout the course of the year where we had to come back. Games we were up. Games we have to maintain the lead to win a ball game. And I think all of those early games helped us in these last few weeks, and hopefully it continues to help us finish this year out.
Coach Pugh's already mentioned that we've already talked about, the Fab Four, the running backs, especially led by Jawan Howell, and they're going up against your defense, who's led by Eric Hunter in the middle. Just how big was that performance that you guys had against Richmond, the one that you had against Akron, that will prepare you for seeing at least maybe 3 or 4 running backs coming out of South Carolina State backfield this weekend?
I think that experience is very important. Once again, we have reference points. We played against some very good offensive lines early in the year. We played against some very talented running backs. So that hopefully those experiences help us. But at the end of the day, South Carolina State brings a different challenge. The kid here is pretty special. And up front, they're really getting after it. Coach is doing a great job. And they communicating up front of their offensive line, getting to the second level. So we must, be in our gap, keep maintaining gap integrity, and also understand they have some guys outside that can still beat you outside. They have a championship caliber quarterback. These guys have been there. These guys have been in the Celebration Bowl. These guys were, have been at the top. So there's a lot of experience there. There's a lot of pride there. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of teams coming back to see Coach Pugh off. So, we must be ready to play, and that's mentally and physically this weekend.
Definitely don't want to put the cart before the horse because, of course, after South Carolina State this week, there's the big rivalry game with Howard to close out the regular season. But if someone had told you that you would beat a Coastal Athletic contender, be an eyelash within beating an FBS school, and then have to go through all of these things with, with respect to the homecoming tragedy and different things, and your team would still have a chance to be in the conversation for a conference championship this late in the season, how would you feel?
I would feel, I would feel good just being as though as coaches, as a staff, we prepared our guys to deal with different adverse situations, unfortunately some tragic situations, and these guys have persevered and continue to fight and work together. So we know we're laying the right foundation down because it's easy for these guys to, tuck tail weeks ago, when you're talking about canceling homecoming, when you're talking about some other situations that have happened. And but these guys continue to show the work every day, continue to be great teammates. So I hats off to my coaching staff and doing the right thing with regards to developing these guys.
All right, thanks, Coach. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next questions come from Mr. Dwayne Nash.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the Yard HBCU Sports and Hero Sports. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I know that you've been through a lot of championship play in your time, especially over at Bowie State. But have you ever come into a matchup that has probably been this emotionally filled, with this being Buddy Pugh's last home game and his final senior day as well there in Orangeburg?
Probably not. Probably not. I can't recall another situation where I'm kind of coaching against a legend in his last home game. Probably not. But once again, for me, I'm gonna take it all in as the opposing coach. I'm gonna make sure that I have our guys prepared to play. I understand it's an honor to have an opportunity to share the sidelines with Coach Pugh, and I'm looking forward to a good game.
And with you taking this all in, how is it that you're what is your process in terms of tempering yourself probably emotionally when you're looking across the field, not just seeing Buddy Pugh, but like you said before, because of course you're also a student of the game and a former player, seeing that 73 team, that 74 team, and all of the other greats that have come through South Carolina State?
I mean, I think for me, it's great. I mean, once again, you have to understand your history to understand the direction that you're going in, and to have that rich history at South Carolina State. And we have a rich history at Morgan State, where we have 4 Hall of Famers that walked up and down our sideline. So, you know, that just seeing those guys come back, having an opportunity once again to coach against Coach Pugh. I mean, these are the Kodak moments, if you will. And like I said, I'm very fortunate and blessed to have an opportunity to do it, and we're going to take full advantage of it.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck in Orangeburg this week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Dr. Kenyatta Cavill.
Thank you. Kenyatta Cavill, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Wilson.
Good morning, Doc.
Before I get into the matchup that everybody wants to talk about this week, I did want to go back. First question there, your matchup against Delaware State. I saw it as a very physical matchup. Can you talk about, one, their ability in a lot of ways to match your physicality, but you did it enough to put up points and get the W?
Well, Coach Hall is a great coach. You know, he's a championship coach. He's mentioned that several times on these calls, where every coach in this conference has won championships. And, you know, I think that says a lot, and pours over to your team, you know, and those guys came out to play. You know, we were fortunate to get a couple turnovers early in the game. I think we capitalized on one of them, but we you know, which helped slow them down some. And our guys played well. You know, once again, we've encountered all different hurdles throughout the game, but we responded well. And that's something we weren't doing early in the year, and that was good to see. But it was a very physical football game up front. Their D-line got after it pretty good. Our offensive line got after at times, and our defensive line. So it was a very good football game, very physical football game, and that's what you expect in me at play.
Follow up to the South Carolina State game. As you get into it, with everything surrounding it, obviously it is what it is on those parts. But what are some things that you want to see your defense will be able to do, particularly from the offensive side of the ball? You know what they're going to try to do is run the ball. And they have a bevy of folks to do it, including maybe the quarterback. Talk about the ability to navigate their space and stopping what they like to do in terms of the run from your perspective.
I told the defense yesterday in team meetings, make sure you get your ice pack on your shoulders. You know, go ice your neck up, ice your fingers up. It's going to be a physical football game. You know, we must match their physical play. It's not a surprise at all what they're going to do when the ball is kicked off. The key is you got to stop it, you know, and our Coach Sewell and those guys put a good game plan together to do just that. But once again, you got to understand they have a championship caliber quarterback, you know, and they have some guys outside that can stretch the field vertically. So, you know, we must be aware of that as well. So we have to play sound defense, but offensively, that may be our best defense, you know, keeping those guys off the field, converting on first downs, making sure we're scoring touchdowns in the red zone and not just field goals. So all of that goes into the game plan. And once again, I'm looking forward to a very physical football game.
Final question here is, as you close all this stuff out, obviously it's one game at a time. You love to win, but if you win out, obviously you get the 500 with that game that was canceled, but you don't have a losing season. That's a part of winning things. And then depending on how things fall out, you just have the one loss and you see how it goes in terms of moving forward. Talk about the importance of the building steps outside of obviously winning the game, because that's what you set to do when you strap it up or you put in the whistle in your mouth as a coach.
Well, I think we're right, you know, where we need to be, or right where we are with regards to building this program. You know, playing a very competitive non-conference schedule, experiencing some of those situations early in the year to prepare you for conference play, having the ability, as you said, you know, we have one conference loss right now, and we're going to control the things that we can control. That's something we talk about all the time, making sure that we put our best foot forward on the football field when we're on the field, not worrying about what other people are doing, but just focusing on Morgan State football and making sure that we're doing what we need to do to make sure that we're successful. But like I said, I feel really good that the program is going in the right direction. I think I've been here now 16 months, if I'm not mistaken, one recruiting class in, and the guys are doing a great job in the classroom. So we're heading in the right direction.
Good stuff. I know a lot of eyes will be for another game a little later than y'all's, but starting at 11, making sure I get my eyes on you all, see this matchup. Good
Yes, sir.
storylines, great football being played. Thank you. Good luck this week, Coach.
Thank you, Doc.
No doubt.
And that concludes all of our questions for Coach Wilson at this time.
Thanks again for joining us this morning, Coach Wilson. Best of luck to you and the team this week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Morgan State will travel to Oliver C. Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina to take on South Carolina State. That game kicks off Saturday, November 11th, and will be played at noon on ESPN+. This concludes this week's MEAC Weekly Football Coaches Video Conference. But before we log off, the MEAC would like to thank everyone that has assisted and participated this morning. The MEAC would also like to thank its corporate partners for their continued support of the conference and its Elite 8 member institutions. As a reminder, the next video conference is Monday, November 13th at 10 a.m. For more information on MEAC football or other sponsored sports, visit meacsports.com and follow the MEAC on social media at MEAC Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Thank you for joining us for this week's MEAC Weekly Football Video Conference Call, and have a great football week.